What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and we have a brand new clan in Bloodline Heroes of Lithis. It is the Arbiter clan, an angel clan that is currently available through the Radiant Luxus special event of the 2-year anniversary series of events. So today I'm going to do a full breakdown and analysis. But first, download Bloodline Heroes of Lithis, a mobile RPG action fighting game where you can marry your champions to create new and unique hybrids. Use the link in the description to start with some free stuff, including gold and diamonds. See you hopefully soon. Alright, so as I mentioned in the opener, you cannot get the Arbiter clan by summoning as of right now. You have to play the Radiant Luxus event, and I did a whole video on that. The reason I waited to do the breakdown of the champions video is because you have to play the event before you get the new champions. So people needed to know how to play that first in order to get these. But today I'm going to center this entire video around how these heroes are. So if you're playing that event, you can decide whether or not you want to get them. Or if you want to put it off, usually these champions show up again down the road, either through summoning or through the wheel that we usually get in like a week or two from an event like this, where you can get extra companion favorability or potentially hero tokens in order to use to level a hero up. But let's take a look at these and see if they're worth it. So first, we're going to look at the trait called Light Suppression. And it says, at the start of battle, back row enemies' attack speed is reduced by some percent. On an epic hero, it's 18.3%. Of course, it's going to be higher the rarity. And that's for 15 seconds. This effect cannot be dispelled or stacked. That's actually a pretty good trait. I wish it affected everybody, but that would be overpowered. But something like this is always really good because essentially whenever you get any kind of increase of your own speed or decrease of an enemy's speed, that's going to be extremely valuable in this game, where basically the first champion's ultimates that go off, the more likely you are to win. Or if you're in an ultimate list type of event, then of course you want the attack speed for the regular attacks and active skills to be going off. So I actually really like this trait. I think it is one that you could consider getting and leveling up and putting on one champ in your top build potentially. First, let's look at the Male Arbiter, and do note that they are mages. That does typically tend to be one of the better classes in the game, so your Guardian Stone might already be leveled up for these. Just kind of keep that in mind. Mine is, certainly. I always like to look at the passive first because that's what affects the battlefield first, and this one is Holy Protection for the male. Each normal attack hit grants 1 stack of charge, which cannot be dispelled, and stacks up to 9 times. In battle, the first time an ally's constitution drops below 70%/40%, the caster heals them for 650% of the caster's own strength and gains 1 stack of charge. Recovery effect is true healing, which will not be attenuated by debuffs, but affected by recovery prevention effects. My impression of these is the healing is not often all that much when it's based on strength. You kind of want the healing to be based on constitution. Okay, 650%. We'll have to see if that's good or not. It does happen a couple of times here. It is only a passive. I'm not super impressed by that passive, though. I'd want to see a little more than that. Divine Empowerment. The caster gains 3 stacks of charge, enhancing self and all allies for 6 seconds. During enhancement, units deal 20% more damage, and control effects duration is reduced by 45%. Every time an enhanced ally uses an active or ultimate, the caster gains 1 stack of charge. Now, this is what I'm talking about. So this is going to be a hero sort of in the vein of like female Selphos or female Lionstone, that's basically making your whole team do more damage, which is really, really cool, and affects control. All right, and the ultimate, Spiritual Lightfall, continuously casts a spell consuming 1 stack of charge each time to summon a falling lightsaber to hit a random enemy from above, dealing 380% strength damage and constitution healing for 60% of the damage dealt. So here we get even more healing. Maybe the ultimate healing combined with the passive healing is actually going to make it a pretty significant amount of healing. When all charge stacks are consumed, the caster consumes a giant or summons a giant lightsaber in the densest enemy area, dealing 600% strength damage, and then ends casting. While casting, strength increases by 30%, and the caster is immune to control, lasting until casting ends. So there's a good amount of potential damage here. It's going to require testing, but one thing that, or at least the impression I'm getting out of this, is this isn't going to be any kind of just massive amount of damage dealing. It's like your average amount. It's like okay. But what this hero is doing is keeping you and your team alive, which is important. So, if it's in a non-male Water and Sun team, or you want some extra healing on top of male Water and Sun in case one of them gets affected by some control effect or something like that, then you got him here as a backup to that too. So that's pretty cool. I think he is one that's going to make your whole team better. I think, when you look at the final stats of a match, my belief is that he's not going to look super impressive, but really you got to look at the stats of your other heroes compared to when he was in the team and when he was not. Because I feel like his strength is really going to be the increase of damage that that your allies are doing, in addition to help keeping the team alive. It might be like a female Ho kind of hero where, honestly, like when you're watching female Ho fight, like what does she even do? Like it's not clear what she does, and she doesn't deal a whole lot of damage, but she soaks up a heck of a lot of it and keeps your team alive. And I think there's the potential that he could play that kind of role. Now let's take a look at the female. Her passive is Wing of Light. Every 2 normal attacks, the caster continuously shoots an energy beam from their wings, dealing true damage equal to 12% of the target's max constitution up to 2,000% of the caster's strength. Heals constitution for 50% of the damage dealt and increases the damage enemies take by 30%, lasting for 4 seconds. Wow, that's the total opposite of the males, where the passive is incredibly strong. So I am liking this one right off the bat too. In fact, we're in a meta right now where the faster you are, the better, and there's a lot more weight being put on the passives and the active skills, and that's a really good passive. I love to see anything that's dealing damage based on the target's max constitution. Of course, it's got that cap of 2,000% of the caster's strength. You're still going to want the strength to be pretty high. The damage enemies take, that's a line of text that I think a lot of people take for granted. I think it's more powerful than damage dealt. I think in a vacuum, taking 30% more damage is more powerful than dealing 30% more damage. I know it sounds like they should be the same, but it's not always, because of how it works within a enemy champion's HP. So you can deal 30% more damage, but they could have a lot of protection and things like that just kind of whittles down how much damage is actually being dealt. But when you apply an effect like this to an enemy where they take on that more damage, I think it just has a bigger effect. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Great passive. Radiant Orbit releases a powerful energy entity that attacks enemies in a straight line path who returns after reaching the furthest distance. The energy entity deals 380% strength damage to enemies on both forward and returning paths, reducing their hit rate by 35%. That's interesting, especially if you have a lot of dodge on your team. And energy recovery from normal attacks and skills by 40%, lasting for 5 seconds. So you're slowing them down, you're making it less likely that they can hit, you're dealing a good amount of damage, and that's already in addition to some massive damage that we were already dealing on the first, on the passive. The light energy pool is the ultimate. Summons an indestructible energy orb in the deepest enemy area for 7 seconds. The orb alternates between glowing and dimming, preventing enemies in range from acting and pulling them closer each time it glows. Each pull deals 500% strength damage and drains 120 energy. I mean, she's got everything that I like to see in a champion. She's got control effects. She's got lots of damage dealing. She's preventing enemies in range from acting, which is a little generic. I wish there was something to click on here to see what exactly that meant, but I mean, that kind of sounds like a stun to me. Um, there's all different kinds of stuns in this game, like freezes and, you know, stuff like that too, knocking enemies up in the air. It's all just different types of stun, basically. So as far as traits, I like Agile on her because, again, with the passive, every 2 normal attacks, which you want to be having those go faster, the caster continuously shoots that energy beam. And so that's really, really good. So definitely you want to have something that's going to speed her up on there. Agile, I mean, it kind of depends on how many other increased speed effects that you have, because remember, there is a soft cap in this game, but I just think on a hero like this, you want it to be as fast as possible. I think just based on how the passive's written too, you obviously also want to do brutal, and you're going to want to have maybe something like impair, the Kivak trait, because if you're increasing the attacks, she's really focused. Even though she's gonna do a little bit of multi damage to like other champs too, she's really focused on like one champ at a time. And so in that case, the Kivak trait's gonna be really, really good because she's just gonna be nailing that guy, and it's gonna cause them to take on more damage, in addition to the 30% that the passive's gonna cause to happen there too. And then, you know, beyond that, you know, you guys, if you've watched my other videos, you know, Fierce on something like this is going to be really, really good. There's a bunch of other damage spells, or traits, I should mention, not spells, but traits that would go well on here. These are just the ones that I tend to favor. And then if you're worried about survivability at all, I mean, honorable could be fine. But I think I would go all out on damage on this one. The male's a little bit different. I think, you know, he's not so much a damage dealer. I might actually just build him to try and support the team a bit. I do kind of like Agile for him too, because each normal attack hit grants the 1 stack of charge. But beyond that, I think I might just actually focus on keeping him alive. I kind of like Energetic. I like Honorable. Just, you know, make a big boy, and he's going to help out the rest of the team. So anyway, between the two, I think I'm favoring the female. I think she's just looking really, really strong, and I think she's going to be excellent PvE with her abilities in addition to the traits that I mentioned. But PvP too, I think she has the chance to really just assassinate whoever she gets hyper focused on in those matches. I think the male's going to be great too. I just kind of favor the female. I think she's got the chance to be really, I'm not going to say S tier yet. I need to test her out. But probably in the A range. And the males, he may or may not be. I don't know. He could be B tier, he could be A tier. But I just like the support features that he has. I just think, you know, whenever we get new heroes, sometimes I'm pretty even on the male and the female, and I'm just leaning female on this one. So anyway, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.